What is up, guys? Yeah, our country still has no clue who our president is right now. I'm pretty sure you didn't come here to hear all that because you've been hearing it everywhere, and you're probably hitting refresh on the Electoral College map constantly for the past like 2 or 3 days. Other than that, I wanted to talk about a gig I just had on Halloween. It was one of the best 1 hour sets that I had. And it's all because I read this book here. If you haven't seen my last video about this, The Magic and Showmanship, I spent my lockdown reading this book, and it teaches you a lot about mostly stage magic. Also, guys, please don't forget, if you do like this content, please like and subscribe to this channel. There's a trick that I learned. It's from Aussie Wind. It was in his repertoire. I think half my videos I probably talk about this book. My favorite magic book, from the packaging to the tricks, everything. It's a trick that I perform. So in the title, it's basically you have 3 different books. The spectator chooses a book. They rip the page out. You burn the page ends up back into the book that they selected. Amazing trick. And when I first performed it, I really got no reaction. So it was like, oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
And one of the biggest things that it was just dumb. I just chose 3 books. So when I first started doing this trick, I would just grab 3 random books. I didn't care what they were. They had words in it. And I went to the dollar store or just bought whatever and performed the trick. And I would just present it as, oh, hey, I have 3 different books. Place your hand on one of them. Okay. Tear that page out. We're going to choose a word. Okay. Page disappears. All right, it's back in the book. Is that cool? Yeah. All right, on to the next trick. I would perform it, not in that low energy, but that was basically how I did it. It was just not interesting. I didn't give a backstory. I didn't have it emotionally attached. I was emotionally attached to it. I didn't choose books I was familiar with. What I did is that I went online and I went digging for something I would really be interested in, and I set up a story. This is actually kind of true. So the books I would use something based off of comic book characters, and of course I have Spider-Man, and I have 2 more. One's like a Batman. I think it's the Dark Knight novelization, and A Death of Superman is what I used for this trick. But these are really difficult to find. This book's almost like 20 years old. So instead of having 3 random books, my story is that this is true, is that I have a really hard time reading. I'm a very, very slow reader. It's like I could read in my head, but reading out loud, it's very weird. But when I do read to myself, if it's like a book with really long text, if I'm not familiar with it, I lose where I am. I don't care what I'm reading, and it's kind of boring, and my brain just wants to switch to other things. Like I try to set up goals for myself. I have to read 3 pages, and I could go back on my phone and use Instagram for like 2 minutes. I have to go back and read 3 more pages. It's a disaster for me. The best way for me to read much better is to actually go and get something I'm already familiar with. I've seen this movie a gazillion times. I could probably read this book and just go right through it, because 1, it's Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. And 3, it's Spider-Man. So with me explaining it that way, it gives it a much more emotional meaning, because this is something I actually struggled with. So I would say give a purpose of why you brought up that prop or why you're using it. Also, make it about yourself, or try to create a story or some type of realism that's in the book. It's saying make it in the realm of possibility. Don't make it all magical where it's just completely impossible to do. Also, try to create an atmosphere where everyone can immerse themselves into it. You want to make a whole presentation that just makes sense and it justifies you bringing out a book, because you don't want to do a card trick and you just bring out some books for no apparent reason and just say, okay, choose one of them. It just doesn't make any sense. Also, I would say it's more about your personality and how you present everything, it gives way more energy to the crowd, and it gives way more, I would say, it oversees the trick. They would remember your personality more than the magic trick itself. They'll probably remember, oh, he made that thing float or he made that thing disappear, but they would remember you for you. And that's what they're really coming for, because you could mess up a trick. There were a couple times I messed something up, and there were times where I did it. Sometimes they would forgive you if you don't mess it up. If you have a heckler, I kind of had a heckler there. He was a really, really nice guy, really cool guy. It was something really bizarre like that, and it just like it killed the entire trick. But it wasn't in a way where everyone was like bored. It kind of just, it took the wind out of the effect, but people were still on board with helping me, or still on board watching me. But if you have a preppy attitude and you do different things and like something gets fucked up, I think it also depends on your character. Trick doesn't work, is that your personality could come out and kind of save it and salvage it in a way. With my personality, it's kind of like me, more exaggerated. I'm still trying to create a character. The character I'm trying to create is more like a Saul Goodman type person, which I would love to try to create, but it's really just me right now, just being very, very exaggerated. Also, I would say practice, 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 practice everything. When you get it perfect, practice even more on top of that, because with that trick, with the the book test, I went through everything. I did what the book told me, is that I go through, I don't know if I ever said this, but I take a trick, I take a page. So I have a notebook here. I would take a trick, write the name to the top, and I'll break down every single move that I have to do in the trick just to get it down. And what this does, it opens up your mind, and it also helps you visualize the trick even more. Because when you practice to yourself, you just practice the move. You're not practicing the pattern. You're not practicing when people are going to speak. You're not going to know when people are speaking, or you don't know if anything's going to throw you off. This just helps you break down everything. I break down the moves. I write down what I'm going to say. I write down what the spectator might say, and it just helps you visualize it and see it much, much better. And with this trick, with the book test that I do, it's a lot. It's not a lot of like sleight of hand and like magic moves. There's only a few of them, but they come at very, very specific times. And there are times where I perform this live, like on stage, is where I forget to do an extremely crucial part of the trick, because I get nervous, and it basically, the entire trick would just not work if I didn't do this move. And I would forget to do my cue, and then I'll go, oh wait, let me do this awkward thing over here, which I was supposed to do like a minute ago. All right, no, okay, now we're good. Okay, it throws off the whole trick. It doesn't flow anymore, and it just doesn't work. And yeah, just practice. And like, it felt really good. And they also got it on video too. I shouldn't ask them for it, the people I performed the gig for, because the moves, I was so proud of myself. I was like, shuttle pass, ooh, yeah, take that and move that. All right, get the lighter and all these different things. It just went really perfect. And I would say also, get creative. I was in my office, I was writing down every move for the book test, and I was practicing. So you could reveal the word, or you could reveal the page or whatever. I would always forget, for some reason, even performing it live, I would forget to do the reveal, which is so dumb. I remember there was one time where I did the vanish of the page, and I totally forgot to give anyone I think I'd even write down a prediction, and I was just like, oh, the word you're thinking of is this, and I got it wrong because I forgot to do a different move, and it was just awful. It was really, really bad. Oh, also, going back to the last point, write everything down so you won't forget anything. It helps you remember the whole thing. So what I did is, for the reveal, I have these little red envelopes, if I could. I have these little red envelopes that I had for another trick I'm very afraid to perform because it's very, very risky. I have these envelopes. I took one of my business cards and I was struggling. Should I just have a regular index card or should I have a business card? I love the look of my business cards. I don't know if you've ever seen them before. I gotta fix this light. This is exactly what my business card looks like. Embossed and everything. Very minimalist. So what I did is I took a business card. I wrote down the prediction right on here. I put it in the envelope. And I realized that I could also do something with the page number. So, not to give too much away with this trick, you kind of like do some Luke Skywalker moves, if you know what I'm talking about. I put my license inside the envelope with the predicted name, the predicted word. So, after the trick, so when I first started the trick, I wrote prediction right on here. Handed it to someone at the party. She placed it in her pocket. Totally forgot about it. I performed the trick on which the page vanished. I said, okay, who the person was on stage. I said, okay, now I want you to look inside the book. It's going to be burnt back in there. It was burnt back inside the book. And I said, okay, so I poked a hole earlier in the page. Is that hole, don't say what the word is that hole still there? And they looked, they're like, yeah, the hole's still there in that word. And I said, and I turned to the person who had the prediction. I said, I gave a prediction at the beginning of the show. And like, she basically just, her brain melted when I said that. And she was like, no. So I told her, all right, I want you to open it. Don't look at the word. There should be two things in there. She pulled it out. She pulled them both out. I said, there's something weird in there. What is it? And she said, your license. I said, okay. What year was I born? And it said November 28th, 1996. And I turned to the person who was on stage. I said, okay, now what was the page number that you chose? She's like, page 96. And like everyone freaked out. And then on top of that, I said, what was the word you were thinking of? And it was like theory or something like that. And like that just, it just created different layers. Try to elevate your magic tricks one by one because you don't, what is it, like rising action and falling action, like in a movie. That's how they write movies. You want your magic to go up like this. You don't want to start up here and then it goes down, 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 and you end with sponge balls or whatever. And I think that is all. I'm sorry it was kind of a rant, but I like the idea of this video of helping people with their presentation because you see a lot of magicians just go, they rip off presentations from other people, which I used to do. Like I would basically just recite David Blaine, or if I watch a tutorial, I would do the same exact thing and just read or write, repeat what they would say. But making it your own, it makes it much more fun to perform because it has an emotional attachment to it, and it also helps you. And I also definitely write down everything, every single move, every single piece of dialogue, because there's nothing worse than performing. Because with me, when I get nervous, I totally forget everything. My mind goes blank. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. But also, could you please go to my Chris Ramsey puzzle? If you did not see it, it has like over 900 views. I want to try to get to 1,000. But other than that, yeah. Bye.